in Sports Central. But all things being what they are, we are here. Good morning to you, Grenada, Carrick, Petey, Martinique, the rest of the Eastern Caribbean. To you, wherever you are. It's your boy JC on a Saturday morning, and welcome to Sports Central. It's your Saturday show where we discuss all things as it relates to sports. And as promised last week, this morning we delve into athletics and a little bit of karate. It makes me feel like the Karate Kid. Yeah, my first guest this morning, he isn't a stranger to anyone in Grenada, and certainly not to me. Is what I like about it this time, though. He's the president of the Grenada Athletics Association, Mr. Aaron Moses. Good morning, Mr. Moses. How are you? Welcome to the program.
Good morning. I'm great. It's a pleasure to be here.
Of course, I start off by saying I'm no stranger to you. And what I like about this time, I get the opportunity. Years ago, in our previous dispensation, you asked me the questions and I gave you the answers. No. Listen, life is interesting. It's a circle. We go full circle and we come around. It's always a pleasure having you here, sir. It probably would be remiss of me if I don't ask you, how have you kept yourself during COVID?
Well, extremely busy. I enjoy being in the bush.
In the bush?
Yeah.
What do you do in the bush, Mr. Moses?
Away from the madding crowd. I did a lot of things.
Right.
But a lot of things. Achieved a hell of a lot. Went back to school. It was a learning experience. I kept really busy.
Went back to school as in literally going back to school?
Yeah. There's a lot to learn, you know. Voracious learner, so.
I'm impressed.
Gotta occupy your time.
Occupy your time.
There was a lot on offer.
Okay.
So I did that, continued my exercise regime, and spent a lot of time in the yard.
Life is a learning process. It is a learning curve, and you just have to keep the brain going. We know at least there's a lot of things you've dabbled your hands into athletics. As the president of the Athletics Association, though, while we're on the conversation of COVID has no doubt literally, it's not a dead blow, but it has certainly stopped all of us dead in its tracks, our way of life, what we do, and for the athletics and for the association, it's been a troubling year and a half, almost 2 years, has it? What's your evaluation?
Extremely difficult. I feel for the athletes who have been trying to find different ways to occupy themselves, to train, to remain motivated and focused on their dreams and goals. And we were really pained not having the ability to provide the opportunities for them to showcase their craft, to grow, to learn, to compete with their peers, and most importantly, to perform at the highest level that will give them the visibility within the academic community. Because, you know, one of the goals of many of our athletes is professional development, further academic training. And one of the avenues to do that is through athletic scholarships,
right,
where a number of universities are looking for outstanding kids. And so without the ability to showcase your state, your talent, it's very difficult. So we could not have character games, we could not have national champs, absolutely nothing transpired. So it was a very difficult period, both for administrators as well as the athletes themselves. However, quite a lot of the athletes were able to be innovative. They were able to get in the hard work, and we saw the fruits of that reflected in the excellent performances at the last Olympic Games. There's so many records were broken. You wonder whether in fact there was COVID. So a lot were able to motivate themselves, remain focused, and to find ways and means of keeping fit, and it yielded tremendous benefits. But it was and continues to be a very difficult period for sport in general.
Right.
In our case, yeah.
I mean, we can always keep looking back, but I think it would probably be more fruitful, feasible that we look forward, because we literally the curve has fallen, and we are seeing in some way we feeling a sense of relief that the numbers are down, and I know for the Athletics Association it is all good. Let's talk futuristic as we look ahead, as we come towards the end of 2021, looking into the new year. Let's leave the rearview mirror alone and let's look ahead. What's the plans? What's in the pipeline for athletics as we attempt to regain a sense of normalcy in the sport?
Well, typically our athletic season starts in October to September, and we plan our calendar of activities to enable opportunities for athletes to prepare, build their strength and condition, and as they go into an athletic season, enable them to fine-tune their performances with increased competitions and in preparation for regional and international performance. We have been hampered so far, so although we have agreed a tentative calendar of events, our first activities were supposed to commence in October, which is a series of cross-country meets, followed by some mini-meets, with our major activity, which was supposed to have been held last weekend, which is a half marathon. And we were unable to do so. Despite our early seeking of permission, while there had been some opening up, it still does not allow us to do what we are required to do. In fact, the numbers have been moved to 75 for any group activity. We are referred to the powers that be who can change that. We had discussions and we have written formally, and we're yet to receive a response, and that has been one of the challenges.
Right.
Follow the protocols you're required to, and that's not yielded much. So we're still waiting. We have had to postpone it to the last Sunday of this month, and we are yet to get a response. And that poses tremendous difficulties because you got to plan, you got to advertise, and in some cases it costs money.
Right.
And that's a limited resource. You don't want to expend without knowing what is going to happen. Last year we got permission 2 days before the event, and that does not augur well for fielding a really successful event. Luckily, we had the largest participation ever, which indicated that people were eager to come out and something. But it really hinders your ability to do it right.
But let me ask.
People did not hear about it last year.
Right.
I did, the numbers. So that's one of the challenges that we face.
Let me ask you though, that's seeming the delay that you experiences in terms of getting a response, because I don't want for any given reason that people take it the other way around. I'm assuming we can reasonably assume that the sort of hesitancy has to do with officials that not wanting to rush and to undo that which was done, and has nothing to do with their lack of interest in advancing the sport.
Well, I can't comment on that, but I would not think that the last reason you're proffered would be one of the reasons responsible. Maybe it's too much to do, overwhelmed. I have no idea, but we have had good response verbally or requests, but in terms of acknowledgement and say, oh, go ahead, that has been done.
So I'm assuming you're gonna continue to do what you do in the background. So October was supposed to be the road relays, the half marathons, and so on. Normally, once we head into the new year, there's a host of things that comes on at the school level, at the national level, the excitement, and I know that, and people are longing for that return to active competition among schools, clubs.
I certainly agree with you. We are having so many calls. People are anxiously looking forward. They did not respond very nicely last year when we indicated, well, it's only going to be an athlete event. No spectators will be allowed. But that's the reality, and that's the challenges we have to live with. Going forward, it continues to be challenging. One of the things I did not mention is that we can only do what we do with the support of key stakeholders. And our sponsors are very germane in this respect.
Right.
And we have had some challenges. No sponsor wants to put money in something that is not significant, is not going to be effectively representing their brand and their image in the marketplace. So we do have sponsors who are very tentative and are prepared to really come on board only when permission is granted early enough so that it can do what is required. So that also compounds the challenge that we have, you know. So we are trying, we are planning, but it is extremely difficult. And I very well suspect if we continue like this, quite a number of planned events will have to be cancelled. Some have to be, delayed, but I'm expectant because the indications are that there is a move to, ease the protocols because we need to get back to normalcy, which again, no one knows. We have seen what has happened worldwide with recent spikes. We have seen the Australia scenario, the Holland scenario.
Yes.
11 states in the US, spikes have started. So it's very difficult from a policy point of view to plan long term. It's a constantly moving target. Yeah.
Indeed. And I think, and I know while the association has its own challenge as a group, and I would agree, you would agree that it's the athletes themselves that feels it most because time is not waiting on them. And while they wait patiently, there are opportunities that's being missed in terms of, as you hinted initially, scholarship, the advancement. And the question is, but from the association's point of view, what sort of a range have you had to be? Were you able to reach out to them in terms of being able to gauge where they are, clubs, the activities, their mental state, their preparedness for when we get the green light, that everybody is ready to go?
Well, we have been communicating with some of our key athletes and staying in touch with primarily our coaches. The schools remain a challenge because they have been closed. But we frequently communicate with our coaches. They are working, they are frustrated, reflecting the frustration of the athletes themselves,
right,
who are expectantly looking forward to the next event and what is happening. So what we have been doing in the meantime is other things. For instance, in September, we had a coaches training seminar over a 2-week period for new persons who are desirous of getting into that particular business. In December, we're having a similar activity for individuals who are desirous of becoming officials. That should start on the 12th, and if I can use your medium to advertise that anybody who has athletic background or athletic interest who wants to participate in such a training program could contact us at our offices or send an email to me. So we are doing what we can from an administrative point of view to see what we can do given the protocols that exist. But like I said, it is challenging, and we have an expectant group of young people out there who are finding it even more challenging to be motivated to continue, their training and development. Literally, they have lost a year.
Yes.
You can say that. Yeah.
As an association,
we're not unique in this respect.
Which is true.
Caribbean, because character was cancelled last year.
Yes.
And that would have been some athletes' last opportunity, to perform at that stage and to be in the limelight. Luckily, the cancellation of character has not negatively impacted the ability of quite a few Caribbean athletes to still get scholarships to higher level institutions. But it and remains a challenge.
We're going to get to CAF to you. I know you broached the issue briefly, but we're going to get to it in just a few minutes, because it's one of the bright lights that is out there that Jamaica has said, listen, we're ready to take this on, and we are good to go. I know there's been conversation from the government's perspective, the whole conversation of a sports policy that would look to comprehensively guide the development of sports on the island. I know there were conversations in the past, and certainly I'm assuming that the GAA would have been an active participant in that. What can you tell us about that? Any concerns? Where are we with that? Is the GAA particularly concerned that maybe it has not moved, the process has not moved as fast as you may have wanted it to?
Well, the sports policy is not new. There have been previous attempts. There have been documents developed and circulated. However, the challenge has been decision making and implementation. So this is yet another attempt of doing so. I can't comment on where it's at this particular stage, but certainly from a GA perspective, we welcome any sports policy that is embracive, inclusive, because it can augur well for the growth and development of sports in Grenada, because you have outlined your policies, the parameters within which sports organizations will be treated, what sorts of incentives and policies and support that's going to be committed from the government perspective. How are we going to treat our athletes? You know, there's a wide range of things, but the issue is always in implementation. And I can't comment on where it's at this particular point in time, except to say that the Athletic Association welcomes any supportive policy that can aid in the overall growth and development of sport. Because sport is such an integral part of any society for a variety of reasons. Most important being that we are, we all support the holistic development of our populations. Because yes, sport is not only for the young people.
Right.
It's all inclusive. And it contributes to the growth and development of healthy nations. And that is cross-cutting. Because a healthier nation has implications for many other things. The cost of healthcare, treated with all the various lifestyle diseases, So it's a very cross-cutting and embracive issue. Sport can, provides an option and alternatives for not only the development, professional development, and occupational opportunities for young people, but sports marketing, it's a very important potential economic sector where you can, generate tremendous tourism activities through sports. So it is a very broad, integral part of any society's both economic and social development that countries need to pay, and some countries have been doing more attention. I think we need to be putting more resources, more efforts into the sporting sector as a critical sector in the growth and development of our country going forward.
I'm happy that you said that, because I was going to broach on the issue of sports tourism, but also that of esports. Has the association, is that an arena that the GAA has given any thoughts?
I did not get that first part of your question.
I was saying I was waiting for us to touch on the issue of sports tourism, and you did, of course, quite handsomely highlight the fact that we need to do more. From Kirani, Aline, Francique, we have other athletes. Javelin guy, his name, what am I getting? Anderson Peters. We've heard the active conversation about enhancing the benefits and the glory of what they can bring to us. And you just did say that we have not done that adequately, so I'm not going to touch on that. But as the sports evolve, with COVID, there's conversation more and more about esports. Is that an area that the association has given any thoughts, consideration to?
Not at this particular point in time, no. But it is certainly a new area that I have been focusing on personally, but we have not yet come to grips with, because it is limited to some sports and not broad-based yet.
Right.
And from an athletic point of view, from my personal, interest, I am yet to see how it can be done, from an athletic point of view. But certainly it is an emerging area. The move towards digitalization is pervasive, and we need to be there. So it is something that we need to keep our fingers on that pulse as it grows. But we have not, delved into that particular area as an association yet.
Okay. The clock doesn't wait on us, and we did have a delayed start. So I'm going to fast forward here. Character is on.
Yes, quite fortunately, as you may know, Guyana was supposed to hold character for the first time, and we were quite impressed with the early planning. And then all of a sudden, recently, we learned that they can no longer do it for reasons which have not been shared. So it was a last-ditch effort to find a Caribbean country, and only last week the Jamaica government committed to do so and to integrate it into their, I think next year will be their a jubilee year, independence year. So they are going to incorporate character as part of the year-long celebrations.
Right.
And so it's definitely on, and character will be held in March next year.
And certainly, locally, we can be looking forward that Grenada would be an active, be an active participant.
We will be publishing the standards for athletes this coming week, so athletes, can be familiar with what are the required times and distances, etc., that they will need to attain to qualify to represent Grenada at next year's character.
But have we thought with the idea as to the contingent, the qualifying times, given the fact that we've basically most athletes have been inactive for the greater part of the last year and a half?
Well, we do have a technical committee that is responsible for those things. But the real issue in setting times, it's not only a local time. You have to have an appreciation of the standards across the region, the performances, because you're going to compete with the region.
Right.
And so there's no use having a standard that is relevant to Grenada and totally irrelevant to the regional, So there are a number of factors that go into the consideration by the technical team as to the standards that's appropriate to ensure that Grenada is effectively represented at the, And of course, that's not new. They have been doing that for quite a while. And we have been having very good performances at the character level.
Before we wrap
of the technical folks.
Okay. Before we wrap, and I know, we have to continue this conversation, as you can well appreciate. Your overall thoughts as an association as to where track and field is presently, notwithstanding the lull that we've had because of COVID, but in the last 10, 15 years, your assessment as to where the sport has transcended itself.
Well, Grenada has a very long tradition in athletics. The Grenada Athletic Association started in 1924. So in 2024, we'll be celebrating 100 years as an association. Athletics has been one of the most popular sports throughout the history since that formation, and we have done fairly well. There have been significant advances with the available improved technology, like a new stadium, on par, giving athletes the opportunity to really compete with resources that are world-class. So we have seen tremendous performances coming out of that era. And our resource base is great. We have a model that has worked extremely well. It's similar to what Jamaica has, where our athletic system is really based on two planks. One, the school system, where every school in Grenada, from kindergarten, primary school, secondary school, the sport of athletics is important. They all have athletic meets, and that culminates into national events like the primary school national event, the secondary school national event. In addition to that, we had the club that would capture a lot of these kids leaving school to enable them to continue in the sport, as well as in the communities recruit young people. We have had some challenges with that over the years. The club structure degenerated in the early 80s, and we have tried to rebuild it, and we've had some success. We still have some gaps which we need to close. We used to have community athletic events. We are working this year as part of our strategic imperative to try to see how we can recreate that. But the major challenge that has affected the sport in the last 10 years, despite our athletes doing well on the international stage, has to do with what I would say some challenges to the first pillar, or both pillars, but primarily the first one that I spoke about. Or what I would say, or the weakness that has crept into our school structure, where sports and athletics in particular is not given the attention that used to. And that speaks to the challenges with the collaboration between the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Sport. And that is reflected in the movement of physical education teachers away from the sport to teach other things. One time we were able to get every school to have a physical education teacher. From the athletics perspective, they would have been exposed to training, like our level 1 training, etc. And in the last 2 years, that has been challenging. Coaches have complained. They are asked to teach other things. They cannot, and you see it reflected in the quality and standards in our intercom, where basic fundamentals are not practiced by athletes who are being showcased on the most important event. So there obviously are some challenges there, and that, from our perspective, is affecting the pipeline coming through. And we have brought that to the attention of the authorities on more than one occasion. So that remains a challenge. And I think we need to get back to having the machinery well oiled, because we see it being reflected on the throughput and the number of athletes that come through. You go to intercall events and you see some outstanding athletes, who have been well-prepared training, and 80% or 85%, is a reflection of lack of coaching, lack of training, So there are some challenges, but it can only be solved if all stakeholders come together and, and treat with the challenges in a unified way. If it does not happen, the progress that we have been enjoying over the last 2 to 3, 4 decades, we're seeing some difficulties ahead.
Thank you, sir.
Of course, has not been helped with the impasse that occurred in the last 2 years, and on our inability to solve our challenges. I'm talking at the national level,
right?
To secondary schools and intercall and whatnot.
We're keeping our eyes on the clock, 22 minutes onto the hour. I know we've only but scratched the surface, but I say to you, you have a home here on a Saturday. If you don't call me, I'm going to call you. And I know you know how to find me, Mr. Moses. We really appreciate it. We appreciate the time. We're just scratching the surface. But I guess we say hats off to the association and the great work that it has done, notwithstanding the challenges in keeping the sports actively. And one of the premier, of course, one of the associations that continues to play its role in projecting Grenada on the international scale. Thank you. All the best to you, sir.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
21 minutes on to the hour in the morning time. It's the sound of Classic 105.5, 105.9. From the track and field, we headed into the mat where Sensei Ryan Lewis is waiting in the wings. And I'm going to go get my Kung Fu Panda outfit, and I'll join you right back here on Sports Central, right here on Classic 105.5 GBN Television and our sister station, Hot 98. We'll be right back.
COVID-19 is an infectious disease caused by a new coronavirus introduced to humans for the first time. It is spread from person to person, mainly through the droplets produced when an infected person speaks, coughs, or sneezes. These droplets can land in the mouths or noses of people who are nearby. These droplets are too heavy to travel far in the air. They only travel approximately 1 meter and quickly settle on surfaces. This is the reason person-to-person spread is happening mainly between close contacts. The exact time that the virus can survive on surfaces is not yet known. So it is wise to clean surfaces regularly, particularly in the vicinity of people infected with COVID-19. Hands touch many surfaces, which can be contaminated with
that way, then you should, of course, adopt the responsibility that goes with manhood. Not just drinking because you figure you've gotten to the age, but if you get to you have the age, then accept the responsibility of being a man. With that being said, we say thank you and welcome back to our viewers. Welcome to Sports Central right here in Classic and GBN Television and Radio in the morning time. We move from the track and field where we've done exceptionally well. It's one of the well-known areas. But it's not very often when you think about sports, you think about karate, you think about guys who we've gone traditionally. Sunday night we watch kung fu, we watch those guys, they do backflips with this, and we've fashioned in our own heads Sensei Ryan Lewis. And I'm going to start right off with you. Many individuals do not get into the sport of karate because they have been convinced, they've been told that it is a sport for the violent, and the violence take it by force when you meet them. Good morning to you. Welcome. How are you?
Good morning, Brother Cadore. I am fine.
It is good. It is good to see you well adorned in your outfit, and you're ready to you're ready to talk about karate as it is. Not one of the, as I said, not one of the popular sport on island in terms of conversation. Why is that so, though?
It's a misconception through the movies and the misconception from, sad to say, religion, and coming right down to what parents think. Some parents and some people, based on how they were brought up or who gave them information from that concept, and so most persons avoid it. But now we're having the modern parents, the new parents now.
Right.
The modern parents, they are seeing the benefits, and they are involving themselves and their children in the martial arts sport.
Benefits, you say? I can't see the benefit of anybody trying to take my head off my shoulder, they say. What are some of the benefits?
Well, karate, and furthermore, let me say, our style of martial arts is known as Donjitsuru.
Donjitsuru. Uh-huh.
Yes. And the name of our school is Purple Dragon. That's the brand name of the school. And Donjitsuru is a combination of different martial arts styles. It's known as modern karate.
Okay.
Now, this karate, it is not just not a sport, but it's a discipline. And it's a sporting discipline. So when you come to martial arts, you come to learn to know yourself, to master yourself, to grow in discipline, and to make you achieve your goals. It helps you with your self-esteem, with your courage, and allow you to see and know your true potential and bring out the best in you. And so these are some of the benefits. So some persons come in very timid and shy, and they go out, ready to explore the world.
You talk about discipline. You talk about, and I'm assuming if you've seen it, it's one of the good things coming from the movies, though, that it is also a sport of respect.
Yes.
Expand on that for me, the whole concept of using sport, martial arts as it is, as a tool of discipline, showing respect and camaraderie.
All right, so simple. When you, in the village that I grew up in, and most Grenadians, you will know that your parent will say, when you come into the house, you say good morning. And say good morning to everyone in the house.
Right.
When you're leaving, say good evening. And just so, every time you come into the dojo, our place of training, and for here, our dojo is located at the Youth Development Center. And we train on a Mondays, Wednesdays, and a Saturdays. Now, when you come to the dojo, you remove your shoes.
Okay.
Simple. Remove your shoes, and then you read, or what we say, you bow, and then you say ush, U-S-H, ush.
Ush.
Some people say us, but you say ush, U-S-H.
Uh-huh.
Meaning, I am here, and I'm willing to allow you to teach me, and I'm willing to be here with you until. Ush means also, Sensi, good morning. Brothers and sisters, which we call sons, good morning. So that's the first thing. So now, every person coming into the dojo knows that wherever they go, they must greet somebody. So you're learning greeting.
Right.
Yes? And they also know that when you get into your home or wherever, you remove your shoes. So you're instilling that. Now, then, when you are in the practicing session, everything is done in a disciplined manner, order. So no one is not going to just run around as they feel like. So everything is done in order and in discipline, even in joining the line or leaving the line. Good? If someone has to, let's say for example, your belt is loose and you have to tie your belt, you have to seek permission to do that. Raise your hand, right? If you want to make a statement, same thing. So all these things are instilled in you, and that will bring you right back onto your work life, your play life, your school life. And then on once a week, sometimes it's more, we have the circle of love. Circle of love is where we put our students to sit together and we discuss important issues for development. So, and if there is a societal problem, we discuss it.
Okay.
Show them how to act and how to react in such a situation.
So the dojo is it's a family that gathers there. Really and truly.
Family.
It's a father. It's a family. Yes. It is a family. Looking at, I'm looking at what I know we have visited your dojo and we did get some footage, and we recognize though that you have quite a vast age group, some pretty young ones. Let's talk about how persons can get involved, participate in your martial arts club.
Sure. Our contact number is 404-9599. 404-9599. So you can call us and we can give you information. Then our email address is purpledragongda@gmail.com. Purple Dragon, that's PURPLEDRAGON GDA@gmail.com. As well as you can visit us at the Youth Development Center on a Monday and Wednesdays from 4:30 to 5:30. That's where we have the kids class, and 5:30 to 6:30. But on a Saturdays, we are there from 4 to 6. So you can contact us personally through coming to the dojo, or you can either email us or call us and even WhatsApp.
I looked at the sampling of your class. I know I said the sample because I'm not sure if I saw all of them, but I saw quite a healthy number of females, young ladies, children, girls as part of your engagement. Most people tend to think traditionally that it's an area of involvement for males, but I'm assuming that's part of the old school. That's part of the old school teaching.
Yes, that is part of the old school's teaching, and now the trend is that ladies are all over where the males used to not dominate.
Right.
It's showing all in the karate as well.
Let's talk about the sport itself. Did you talk about the need to be disciplined, and discipline upon entry into the dojo, discipline in how you interact with the individuals, your other members of the club, but even when you're actively involved in the sports as part of that discipline culture, are there some do's and don'ts that governs it that you can share with us? Normally, if we're in a street brawl, when a man down, boy, that's when you're punksing him. Is that the same in martial arts? Seize the advantage, no relenting?
No, that's not the same. Do's and don'ts. You should be at the dojo at least 15 minutes before class time, and then 15 minutes before class time you should be lined up in order, waiting for class to start.
Okay.
If when the sensei comes in, or the teacher or professor comes in, the top student or the head student will or call the class to order, and both the teacher and the students pay respects to one another by reading and saying "ush."
Okay.
Right? Now, if a young child want to use, let us say, the toilet facilities, then senior student will carry them there. Yes, that's some. When you are doing your rolls on the mat, one person will roll at a time, or we will say 2 persons will roll at a time and give sufficient spacing.
Right.
When you are practicing your kata or your moves, we encourage teamwork. So we do counting. So everybody move together to get team spirit. And then afterwards, we stop count so that they will do the same thing and learn to move together. So it's easy for that. Now, when we are on the dojo doing a conversation and someone's behaving, let us say a child is restless, then one of the senior students will assist that child
Right.
If we are doing something called sparring or kumite, which you was referring to, there is a particular, there for the colored belts, no contact, right? You have to show that you can touch someone somewhere or strike someone somewhere, and do not strike. Yes. So you have to snap. You have to show that you can, and pull back your arm, pull back your legs, and so
Control.
Now, if in case that someone there's a light contact, when there is light contact and someone falls, when that person is on the ground, you stand up and allow the person to come up. Reach out your arm to that person and bring them up. Let it stand up on their feet until the referee or the sensei, right, says start again. Now there is no sparring in the dojo without the permission of the sensei.
Really?
The sensei must be there to oversee everything. And then it is just like, let us say, a boxing match. Everybody's around, and the sensei and the two persons are sparring. And sometimes the sensei will help everyone by playing with them, in a sense. They throw in all their moves when it comes to kumite, and he's just blocking and showing them how to react. So this is how our sparring or kumite is controlled. And we always teach the first defense is to speak.
Okay.
Talk your way out of every situation. That's the first defense.
I could see this sensei as being quite an active platform being used. We always talk about conflict resolution. And I'm thinking martial arts karate can be the ideal tool that can really introduce children to the idea. Listen, you don't have to always strike back. And even when you can control the measure of force that you use against your opponent.
Yeah, you're sure right. You're sure right. So listen, this is what we teach. If your hand go forth, control your temper. And if your temper goes forth, control your arm. This is something that each one of us practitioners have to learn and practice. So, and it's not only controlling the anger and so, but you get all the health benefits because you have to be actively involved in physical exercise.
Right.
So when you come, you're in a fitness class as well. So on all the hyper exercises you do, and then all the stretches and yoga breathing you do. Okay? So when you are part of Purple Dragon, when you are part of Donjutsu, by the time you're a black belt, yes, you are a yogi practitioner, you are a fitness personality, you know, you either could be instructors in those as I am, you know. You learn different parts of the body or the different meridians, nerve points and so forth. So you know even how to a mild headache, how to get rid of it, and certain ailments. Don't
go there, Sensei. Don't go there, because I want us to have a different session. Because I was really crazy to ask you. I mean, those are things we hear about it. These different points in your body, and being trained to understand. What happens if you hit a particle part of the body, the possible impact it can have on an individual. And I think, again, it all comes back to discipline, understanding, and I'm assuming that before we wrap is that all of your students, is that how you refer to them? Is it students? Or
yes,
the students.
Then we say brothers and sisters.
Right, that they understand that my involvement in the art form is not about to show superiority over others, but in order to show exercise humility, patience, love, and kindness as a means of helping me first and then others. Have I summarized it correctly?
Yes, you surely did. Surely.
Thank you, Sensei Rand. We're out of time, but I promise you this is not the first conversation we are going to have. Today was just the introductory session. One day I'm going to get a chance to come at your dojo. But before you go there, I'm looking at the video. I see different kids. Just take me through the the colors in terms of the belts. I see yellow, purple. What they represent quickly.
Well, let us just wrap it up in one. Every color of a belt tells you the knowledge that you have in the martial art.
Okay, so knowledge levels. And
so it's knowledge levels.
And it starts from?
So it goes from white to yellow to orange to green to blue to red to purple to brown and then black. And then when you reach at black, we move from just black to first degree, second degree, third degree, up to 10 degrees.
For the purpose of persons listening, so they're comfortable, if they are interested, what level are you at? If that's okay with asking.
Yes, sure. Fourth degree. Fourth degree black belt.
How long do you think it's actually going to take me to get there?
as long as you want to. You see, you can pace your degrees.
Right.
You can either move quickly or you can take your time. It's up to you. It's up to the person.
Appreciate it, Sensei Ryan Lewis. I really appreciate you the conversation. It was really quite enlightening, and looking forward to having this continued conversation with you, and on other occasions get an opportunity to meet and involve with your students at your dojo. Thanks a lot, Sensei.
Yes, thank you, sir, and thank you to the listening public and viewers. Thank you, Brother Cadore.
And I guess it would be remiss if we, what do we do? Do I bow?
We say ush.
Ush. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sensei.
Thank you.
Ush.
Thank you.
5 minutes gone past the hour. We're behind, but we have to make up our time. We have to get our eyes and ears wrapped around as to what's happening out there in the wide and wonderful world of sports. Nothing happening much in the Premier League and other leagues. It's an international weekend of football. But Sid the Kid, he is in, and he's coming to tell us everything that's happening in the wide and wonderful world of international football. Quick commercial break, Master Control, and we'll be right back.
Feel good facts.
Help prevent cold and flu by washing your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. That's the time it takes to remove most germs. No soap and water? No worries when you've got alcohol-based hand sanitizer.
COVID-19 is an ever-present threat. Welcome back, folks. As you go through your weekend. Sanitization, it's of critical importance. We do apologize. Well, for those of you listening right there, Mass TV, that is, we have an extended period with you for a classic listeners to be with us. It would be remiss of us. We've gotten updates on what's happening in athletics. We've talked about what's happening in the dojo. Yeah, and I wonder if Sid the Kid has ever been in a dojo, and whether or not he'll ever want to consider taking me on and joining me on the mat in the martial arts class. Sid the Kid, you think you're ever willing to try that with me? Keep in mind that I am Kung Fu Panda.
Keep in mind what?
I am Kung Fu Panda.
You're Kung Fu Panda, but I'll be the great praying mantis. I'll try something. I'll pray while I'll mount this in
yeah, dream away. What's up, kid?
I'm okay. I'm just here taking in what is there to be enjoying the best in the footballing world, sports world.
Well, let me see. What are you wearing today? You Team Brazil? I guess you wanted to know. I guess that's because we are on the international circuit today.
Yes, 100%. And that's why you are not attired in your Manchester kit due to my lack of international clothes. But next weekend, I was waiting for you on that, but I have to make sure you dress appropriately.
Tell me, the clubs, the league, the clubs is there on a break, it's international break, but there's a lot of football this weekend though. Where do we start?
Well, first of all, we need to shout out our under 20 CONCACAF team. They are doing fabulous.
Fabulous is an understatement. I mean, it's an understatement. I mean, honestly, they are truly represented. And I'm happy though that you are actually following them. I had Coach Michael Finney with me. Was it last week or week before? I can't remember. The time flies so quickly.
Week before.
But they have been going great guns. Bring us up to speed.
Well, today is actually the biggest day for them because currently they have to play Paris. So I think that game is playing at 7 o'clock tonight. They're currently tied on points. They haven't lost a game, and the reason why they're for second is because there's a 5-goal difference between the two teams. So Curacao has scored 19 goals in all their matches so far, and Grenada has scored 14 goals. The thing is, if they win, they go through, and it's a must-win. If they draw, Curacao will go through on the goal difference, so it's a must-win game for the boys. You speak of Benjamin Etienne, and part of the reason I kind of followed it, being the bias, because he's from the South. We've played football together in the domestic, in the lines. I've watched him, I've seen him grow very well, getting his experience and everything, so that helps with the right coaching. And he has represented the team, the national team, as well. So he has the experience, and hopefully he can help the team qualify this evening with a good game over Curacao.
I think it would be fair to say, Sid, that whatever happens, and we really would want them to. So we're looking at the standings as it is. So you said it on 3 points, but Curacao, there is the goal difference. That's what is the key indicator. So it's Grenada, Curacao, St. Martin, British Virgin Islands, Dominica. 3 games, 3 wins, and they have been finding the back of the net as well.
I don't think they're finding it. I think they own it at this point. They're not just finding it because they seem to go in at will. I was taken in that game against, was it Dominica? And the Dominicans scored honestly an awesome goal from about halfway line. And I turned around, I was telling the guys, a good goal scored. And by the time I turned my back,
there was the equalizer.
Yeah, it's like, what's happening is like the Koreans were like, listen, the lion is sleeping, don't wake us up. So you slap the lion in the face and look what happened. And they went on and they trumped them, if I remember correctly, 5 goals to 2.
5-2.
Like
yeah.
It's wonderful. It's great to see that young team, productive. They're working together. They're bringing the results. And that shows that there is a bright future for Grenada, because the question has been asked, are the years gone past, with the Brian Benjamin, the Shane Rennies, and the Nixons, and those names, but then we have a young group now that will provide a good stepping stone even for those behind to continue and take the game very seriously.
We'll continue to follow that game, that match, and we certainly wish Team Grenada all the best. Flags out, we are chanting Grenada for goal. That's what's happening. So we're going to leave it aside. That game is at 7 o'clock this evening against Curacao. We're not betting, but of course we wear our hearts on our sleeves. So we've taken care of what's that's happening locally. That's football in the region. The international world, there's a lot that's buzzing. They wanted to qualify for their own Junior World Cup, but of course, on the international front, everybody wants to get a place in the next World Cup. What's happening outside there?
What's happening? Well, we had some high-scoring games over the last couple of days, which provides us with the perfect opportunity to look at these, these cricket figures. Cricket. I mentioned cricket, but I'm sad. I'm sad as we speak. But
don't go there with cricket. I don't go there. I know where you're going. We don't even. I'm not even going to take the bait. Yeah, keep your sadness to yourself about you and cricket. You're Pakistani. Yeah. Right.
Australia took good advantage of me. I just had to stick that in there. At least I accept my defeat.
Aussie.
Yeah. We had Germany doing a great deal, scoring 9-0 against Luxembourg. I'm sure I'm butchering that name. That was pretty much expected from them. We had Croatia scoring 7 goals as well. They beat Malta 7-1. One of the games that was expected for Portugal, they were held a 0-0 draw. And what's it? We have England as well. They scored 5 goals against Albania, with Harry Kane getting a hat-trick there. Harry Maguire, he scored the opening goal, and there has been a little bit of banter going on because, playing for Manchester United, you concede 23 goals in the last 5-6 games, and then you score one and you celebrate like a maniac. But it's funny how the world of sport goes. You go from hero to zero real quick. You could do the right things, they remember it, and as soon as you make the mistakes, they banter you, they come down on you. But it's good for England because Harry Kane has been on a poor run of form in the Premier League as well. He hadn't scored in the last 3-4 games. So it's good to see him finding his scoring boots once more. So then that does help with his confidence.
Indeed, there's always some reason to smile. England, they got the better of Albania, 5-0. Kane scoring he had a hat-trick there in the 18th, 32nd, and just on the brink of half-time, he scored a third. I see you wearing your Brazil memorabilia, and I'm assuming that's exactly where your heart lies.
I'm sorry to disappoint you again.
But you're a fraud.
Actually,
you should go from syndicate to fraud then. Like, seriously?
No, listen. I'm trying to be very, very diplomatic and respectful to the other teams. And this jersey was actually a gift from another soccer fan. Football fan, as we say, but I'll use both terms. It was given to me as a gift, so I wear it out of respect. Not out of patriotism.
But boy, I would leave that alone. I thought that's where your heart was. Now I understand that has nothing to do with it.
I probably could bring back fond memories to you. It was 97 or 98 when there was a certain bald-head man, Zinedine Zidane.
I cried. I remember it. I cried.
And that, to be honest, was the beginning of my French connection.
Really? That's why I started hating them forever. I actually remember that game as though it was yesterday. And while Brazil, they've suffered a number of defeats thereafter, I remember that game, that World Cup in the Stade de France, when Emmanuel Petit did the opening scoring. I mean, and I don't even have to go back. I remember it in my head. Yeah, that defeat, it throws me of all times. Emmanuel Petit doing the opening goal, Thierry Henry, Zidane. But believe me, that year, France, honestly, for the World Cup, what was his name that was in the goal again? The one that did the goalkeeper from that French squad.
Fabien Barthez.
Barthez. The man literally had almost a clean sheet all for that World Cup. So that's where your heart is, France.
France, exactly. And if you look at my conversations over the past couple of weeks, when I speak of the Zidane and the Karim Benzemas and stuff like that, it's definitely hard to miss. And seeing that we just won the Nations, we got knocked up. We lost the Euros in the semis, which was sad because of a penalty that was thrown away by Kylian Mbappe. But the French connection is where the heart remains. It's going to be set in stone. I'm going to build myself a memorabilia somewhere down on the Carnage.
You know what? I just want to say that I totally pity you. I really totally pity you. But while we're at it, let's probably just look to see what's happening in the qualifiers. If you could probably work with me, Timon. So we're looking at the different when we at qualifying. Where you want to start in Europe? So let's probably start Europe. You want to start in Europe? So Europe. So Portugal had their group. 17 points, followed by Serbia, Luxembourg. And then we look at Spain is also up there with Sweden in their group. And you probably look at it though, it's probably what you expect. Is there any team you look at the different groupings? Italy, Switzerland, that's expected. But look at it. Look at the weak squad, the weak zone that France is in. France with Ukraine, Finland, Bosnia, Herzegovina, and Kazakhstan. Like seriously, I mean, you expect to win that. They actually lost 3. Three defeats. Seriously, what's wrong with what is it? Is France a real contender, or are they just pretending that they can handle it?
You have to remember that the ball is wrong.
Yeah.
Anything on any given day could happen.
Yeah,
but as you see, France are where they belong, and that's what matters.
Yeah, they're probably just gonna scrape it through, though. We know they're gonna go through. We know they're gonna win. They are gonna win their group, but you know what? Let's leave it there. We see the Dutch. The Dutch are heading their group. In there, Norway, Turkey, Montenegro, Russia, Croatia. Interesting in there. England sits at the top of the group, which includes the likes of Poland, Hungary, and others.
Well, Poland is the only threat for them in that group, to be honest, when you have the likes of Robert Lewandowski, who scored 2 goals recently during the week as well. One of the teams you have to be mindful of, and they are not sitting too far up in their group, is Wales. You know, they have a very solid squad with Gareth Bale and others, but they sit for 3rd in their group, and they are playing Belgium on Tuesday, so that is a game to look forward to.
We moving through World Cup qualifiers, though. The United States of America, it really as you get closer to home. We get closer to home, and you can't help but recognize, though, the strides that the USA. Not that in any way I'm worried about them, but it's quite impressive the growth that the exponential growth that you've seen in the sport over the last couple of years, given that traditionally soccer, and we have to make sure that we actually get it right, because when you say football, I guess depending on American, you can get it confused. So for them, soccer traditionally was not one of the powerhouse sports, but they've literally held their mark in the last couple of years. Even with the start of the MLS as well has helped them to thrive.
Yes. Yes, it has, and with the likes of Landon Donovan, he's been one of the reputable names that stood out in U.S. soccer history. And the fact that they were able to bring across some of the big names from Europe, which played in the MLS, the David Beckham, the Zlatan Ibrahimovic, names are there's so much quality that they brought across that they attracted. It helps. And then when you have the U.S. players themselves, like the Christian Pulisic, who is playing for Chelsea, which they're on top there in the English league right now, it does bring a lot of light. It shows that the U.S., they have potential. They probably don't have a well-rounded squad like the European giants.
Right.
It does show that soccer has grown tremendously within the last 10, 15 years, you could say, because football was nothing for them. They had their little battles with Mexico, Jamaica, and we saw recently on the 7th it was that they beat Jamaica 2-0. Canada has been coming up good as well, Costa Rica, Honduras. But I'm happy for the U.S. in the sense that they have poured a lot into funding football, and right now we actually have seen the fruits of their labor.
We can safely say, in the true spirit of the expression, money talks. Money talks.
I won't say that quite, because I remember, if I'm correctly, Zlatan said that it's too expensive to train people over there. But I wouldn't say money talks, but I would say that the discipline and the dedication is what helps the most, because if money just spoke, the players on the pitch wouldn't perform.
Well, I'm saying money talks in the context of, because it takes money at the end of the day. They're able to whether to televise the games, and I think that's what has helped to sell the game really and truly. The matches is televised, you get it on the cable, it is there, you can see it. But looking at World Cup in CONCACAF, I know you don't like Team Brazil, undefeated. No, I mean, what you going out about?
Well, to be honest, this is where it gets me between a rock and a hard place because on Tuesday they play Argentina.
That's okay.
There's a certain Lionel Messi. The thing is, he has been, well, quote unquote, injured for PSG, but he has been training with the national team Argentina. So
forget Messi. But forget Messi.
I can't forget it.
No. I'm saying forget Messi. If you put it in its true context, they're both undefeated. Right. And that's what is critical about it. They are both actually undefeated. The only difference is that, of course, with Argentina, they've actually the win to draw record ratio is what separates them. Brazil they've won 11, drawn 1. Argentina, they've won 8, they've drawn 4. Yes, but you see the difference in the goal difference is quite healthy, which is not surprising for Brazil, but disappointed for a team that has Messi. What's happened to Messi? Is he losing his footing, boy?
I'll put it this way. Brazil has more flamboyant football. When you have the likes of Neymar, the Casemiros in that midfield, you have the fluidity in Richarlison and these guys in the attack, you should expect more goals. With Argentina, you expect to win, but the fact that Aguero is no longer there, Martinez is coming to terms with the national team, Gonzalo Higuain is no longer there, Angel Di Maria, he scored against Jamaica the other night. You expect them to win, yes, but the goals ratio considered from Brazil, you lean towards Brazil for more goals.
Which is true.
Honest.
I mean, I'm happy that you were just honest about it. You were actually honest about it, and that has always been one of my fear over Brazil, that sometimes they surrender flamboyance and speed over the desire not to get scored against, because they seem to expend so much energy on scoring that's always a challenge. They can score, that's never a problem. Sometimes the defense is what sometimes just gets to me, and I start going, and I often get the fear because because of the fluidity of the game, that you know they're going to score. If you score against them early, it's as though it sets them, I don't know, but
the truth is, in the last, I'll say 5-6 years, Brazil had lost their identity for a while.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Brazil had lost their identity for a while.
Which Brazil are you talking about? Brazil in South America? Which Brazil are you talking about?
Yes.
Brazil or Brazil?
There was
some other team you're talking about, right?
No. They had lost their identity because there was question on their flamboyance, because they were starting to play more direct. They were starting to play, they were scoring, they were winning, but the way they won, it wasn't the Brazil of the Ronaldos and the Romarios, the Ronaldinhos. It wasn't, because they won, they scored tons of goals, but there was a creativity, there was a flair. Just seeing Ronaldinho standing next to the ball got the crowd excited.
Right.
And for the past while, they were attacking, direct, looking for the goal. The Marcelos was helping, the Neymar was trying, but the collective unit, it wasn't there. And
to me, that's not something. If you ask me, that has always been my problem with, when I say my problem, my challenge with my dear Brazil squad, that they had the star power, but the ability to gel on the team, on the field, has always been of a concern to me, and that sometimes it fails them in the biggest moment of their lives. That's always, but either way, it's where the heart is.
It could be repercussions from that France defeat.
Yeah. I'm running out of time, and we really don't have time for this. We have a few minutes more left to go, but let's talk about some of the rumors around the league. But this is not a rumor, though. We'll get into the rumors in the next 2 minutes. But Gerard, former Liverpool midfielder, Aston Villa.
And Aston Villa plays Liverpool, is it in the next 2 weeks?
Yes. You liking this one? You're waiting to see how the matchup is actually going?
Exactly. Well, not just a matchup. I'm looking at the reception, because the fans have a lot to do with the atmosphere. And the fact that Steven Gerrard is returning to the Premier League in itself is not just the Liverpool fans, but the league on a whole. He is a legend in his right. We cannot argue that. His coaching skills, his coaching levels, We saw what he did in Scotland. He recently helped dethrone was it Celtic or Rangers? He had an invincible season. And
yes, so they actually play Liverpool on the 15th, on the 11th of December. So, yeah. Yeah, they play them. So looking at their roster going forward, there's a game tomorrow actually, but that Liverpool.
Oh, no, not tomorrow. That's next week.
Next week.
Premier League returns on the 28th.
But that Liverpool encounter is on the 11th.
Right. So it would be in 2 weeks when the league starts. So that will be heartwarming. I can see mixed emotions because at the end of the day, as a coach, you want your players to win. It won't be this warm, fuzzy feeling, hey, Liverpool fans, come hug me. It's going to be, guys, play hard, tackle hard, get that 3 point because it's what's needed. He was appointed a job to get things done and he has to provide results despite whatever. We saw what happened to Frank Lampard. He came back to Chelsea. He got 1 or 2 results, but it wasn't consistent and he had to get the sack,
Where's the love? Where is the love?
See, not all managers are Zinedine Zidane. Back to the French connection.
What's fixing on the French connection? I'm so sorry. We run out of time, Syndicate. But what can you tell us? What's rumoring? What are the rumors? Transfer rumors? What are you hearing? What's happening?
Dani Alves actually is back at Barcelona after a couple seasons out because Xavi Hernandez has been fully reappointed as a Barcelona coach. He is in the process of rebuilding, setting things in place. There's actually new rules being put in place for the Barcelona players because last week, while we were speaking, they were up 3-0 against Celta Vigo. By the time I got home, the game finished 3-all. And it shows that the team needs to have that concentration, and hopefully Xavi could bring that back. Dani Alves, with his experience, could help. Paul Pogba, he got injured during national team training.
Right.
There are reports that he could be coming to Real Madrid next summer. Kylian Mbappe, there is talk that in January negotiations will begin for him to come to Real Madrid as well. So we could see a new Galactico area with Real Madrid. So for rumors, on the other hand, you won't hear anything much until later December, closer to January for the transfer window. But these guys were able to move because they were not under contract. They were free agents, as you say, which is Dani Alves. Managers can come and go as they please.
Right.
But the heated transfer market will start probably mid-December when you hear the teams want to rebuild. Champions League will be resuming in February after they take a little break. Teams want to revamp, start over, and get a fresh start.
We keep our ears and ears peeled on the ground to what's happening, folks. A lot of internationals this weekend. Nothing happening in the Premier League until following next week. Which there was a game last week. There was that. There was a game last week that you and I'm trying to remember what was the prediction that you made.
Oh, was that Liverpool and West Ham?
Yes.
Listen, those pretenders, I still have them as a pretender, and I would be happy if they prove me wrong. That game was
what?
fantastic. Listen, that game had me wondering what is happening. But at the end of the day, as I always say, the ball is wrong.
The ball has always been wrong, you know. I don't know why you keep reminding us that the ball is wrong. As though by reason of some change, some galactic strange something happening, it got wrong last week. It was always been wrong.
Yes, that 3-2 defeat was a serious dent in their title defense. Because now we see Chelsea has gone 4 points clear of Liverpool because of that. They're 3 points clear of Manchester City. I don't know. This Premier League will continue to surprise, entertain, and make us wonder.
But you still think that West Ham, they're still pretenders?
I don't think they have the depth and the quality to keep through the season. I don't think
the ball is
personal opinion, and the ball is wrong.
The ball is wrong. We're just going, before we wrap, as we get into it, we're just going to look through what's happening. Just look at the teams. Tim, we're going to just look at the standings in the Premier League. Top 5 teams. Premier League, Championships, Champions League B. Let's do this. So in the Premier League, we start off. Take us through it, Sid.
Manchester City for second, West Ham at third, Liverpool fourth, mighty Arsenal, who have been finding their feet. That's my team, I'm saying again. They are both Manchester United, who are in sixth at this point. I'm happy to see that, but I'm sorry for them. Brighton at seven, Wolverhampton at eight, Tottenham at ninth, and Crystal Palace at 10th. So that's the top 10 there.
Let's look at what's happening in the UEFA. Well, in UEFA Champions League, Liverpool up there.
This is just the knockout round still in that sense, the group stages, I should say, actually. So the teams that you see on top their tables respectively belong there. Real Madrid had a share with Sheriff and Inter Milan and the rest, but they are where they're supposed to be. But this is the fun stages still. We have to wait until February where things get sweet and tasty.
Every week, folks, we're going to continue to dash through it. We're going to see whether or not the French, whether or not they can really hold it. Are they real contenders or pretenders? They did it well when was it 1981 at the start of France. I give them hats off to them. That Emmanuel Petit, Zidane, Barthez squad. Yeah, fine. Zidane, after that headbutt, I'm not sure what went wrong with him. I think that probably got all the French people a little bit dizzy. But all the respect to them. We'll see what happens next week. But we continue to follow it along the different leagues with Sid the Kid. Sid the Kid, today you are in your Brazil memorabilia. You continue to remind us we can get memorabilia from you.
Yes, sir. We have all the clubs and kids from last season. We're doing our best to get this season as per usual. We will continue to update you as well to make sure so that you guys are informed, you guys are well dressed and looking your part. So I don't want to keep you in the dark either way.
Don't keep us in the dark. His heart is with the French. I tell you, I'm supporting my boys from Greens this evening against Curacao. But when it comes to the World Cup, I tell you, on the inside, I'm Brazil to the core. Win or lose, I support Team Brazil. While we had it, we didn't talk. Chris Gayle heading off to you know where. We did say, and I think you did hint to that quickly before we go, that he probably is he's not going to be in the maroon anymore. Maybe he would be showing up against. He's now in Sri Lanka.
Of course. Listen, Chris Gayle is a legend down there. He's a legend around the world because his name stays to the universe boss. He has conquered all battles that he has faced. He's like a roaring lion, just waiting, just watching, and he's there for the entertainment. True, he wants to perform his best, but he's there for the people to entertain, hit those sixes, Gale's farm.
Listen. You see, but that's the problem before we end. I'm not here to hit for the entertainment. I'm here to hit for the delivery. And while I love Chris Gayle, he's done, he's played his mark, made his mark on West Indies cricket. I think it's time for him to just leave it alone. Enough said on that. I don't know arguments in it. Listen. What's his current strike rate? Like, seriously, you know what? Listen, there comes a point in time when a man needs to just leave it alone, and I think he needs to just retire from the sport graciously and allow for a transition at the top. Added, we see there's also an extension with the selectors. Harper and them, they've been given a lifeline until December. We'll see how that actually plays out. Folks, we do this every Saturday right here. That's the man himself, Sid the Kid. Boy's a genius. Who would have possibly imagined? Sid the Kid checking for your memorabilia. Call him on, what's the telephone number?
457-6159.
6159. Check it out. I'm still waiting for my GBN t-shirt. Yeah, I have that. I don't actually need anything.
Listen, okay, let's get this a deal in here. Pending that Manchester wins their next game, you'll get 2. But if they lose, you won't get that jersey. Until they win, you'll get that jersey.
Time will tell, folks. That's your boy Sid the Kid. I'm JC on the inside. Sid, thank you very much. Good morning and good afternoon now to all of the wonderful folks inside of Knights Auto World. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Knights. And I will play you not just a reggae, I'll play you a Bob Marley. Peace Peace and love, folks. JC loves you. Next week, we'll be back with you for another Sports Central. Next week, we're talking basketball with the president of the Basketball Association, Jared Sincere, and we'll also be talking boxing. Yeah, and of course, Sid the Kid is going to be back. Who's going to be throwing some heavyweight punches as it relates to what's happening on the football pitch. Peace and love. JC loves you. For Sports Central, I am out of here.